We are live. The OG Kickoff in Tampa, day 3, SEC Media Days. Coverage here on the next round, of course, brought to you by Culver's. Welcome to Delicious. Well, I had a thought that got me really excited thinking about Culver's. Before we get to Bama Day, many takeaways. We've got great guests coming up. Matt Flynn going to join us in a little bit. We've got Josh Pate, Jordan Rodgers. We've got a star-studded cast. But I had a thought today in the shower.
Okay.
Should I continue?
Yeah, I was like, keep going.
Should I just leave it there? I am going to Wisconsin on Saturday. And on Saturday, we're going to be flying into Appleton. I'm going up to Door County, Wisconsin. My mom's lake house is up there. And it hit me. I am definitely going to be talking my mom's fiance into making a pit stop at Culver's, making sure that we get some lunch, getting a Butterburger, getting a concrete for the road. Claire, the idea of getting a Butterburger and a concrete for her is probably going to be a next level experience. So seriously, that was a legitimate thought I had in the shower this morning of, oh my God, I get to have Culver's in Wisconsin on Saturday. And I'm just so excited thinking about it, in case you can't tell.
You know, that sounds like a Christmas commercial. It sounds like,
Yep.
you know, uniting your family, doing all that. You just as white as the snow outside. It's beautiful. You know, it's a beautiful scene you're painting for me here.
If there's not a more Wisconsin thing than that, I don't know what is. Okay, we have day 3. The morning session has already taken place. We got to hear from Alabama. We got to hear from Florida. Let's start with Bama, just in case that hasn't been talked about the first 3 hours enough here. But
You actually kind of got a quote out of the board today. I'm proud of you.
we'll call it that. Okay, so I asked, once again, a pretty blunt question to Kalen DeBoer. Last year I asked him, did you live up to the Bama standard? And he answered, like, you know, what I think is the Bama standard? I said, yeah. Like, what do you think is the Bama standard? He pretty much said no. And I like asking blunt questions sometimes because I think the answers can be pretty telling. And the question that I asked Kalen DeBoer was, do you think your time at Alabama will be defined by whether or not you win a national championship? He said, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yes.
But he said, like,
Yes.
you know, that's not our focus. How about just a hard yes?
Yes. I think that's what fans want to hear, right? I mean, you know, there are maybe 3 jobs in the SEC, probably Texas, Alabama, Georgia, where you have to say, my job here is to win a national championship. And every season we don't do that, we have failed to some degree.
And other coaches can throw this around where they can say, like, you know, I want to win national championships. And Clark Lee comes to SEC Media Days a few years ago, and it's like, my job won't be done until I make Vanderbilt football the best program in America. Like, we all kind of have our jokes with that, and it just kind of falls on deaf ears a lot of times. But you're right. There are very few jobs, not only in this conference, but in all of college football, in which you want a coach to say, yeah, man, I know it's going to come down to that.
Actually, my salary, all this money we're bringing in, all the boosters, your money is, we do want to win a national title here. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine a world in which Kalen DeBoer is at Bama for 6-7 years and they never win a national championship. And instead it's like a 2-year run in which they end with expectations having not been met, where maybe they missed the playoff. I don't know what the playoff's going to look like 6-7 years from now. I don't even know if we're going to be here.
We're actually going to be in it.
Yeah, oh, sweet. They'll invite even SEC Media Day members. That's how inclusive it's going to be. Can't wait for it.
We'll Fight Club.
But yeah, look, I think it's interesting hearing him talk about that and hearing him talk about these expectations. You heard from pretty much any media member that you talk to here, man, there's just no buzz at Bama. There's no buzz. I've said it before, we'll say it again. It's going to be Bama's worst preseason ranking in the AP poll since 2008. You're going to tell me preseason rankings don't matter. They do shape perception. The perception of this Alabama team with all of these new faces, something that Kalen DeBoer has acknowledged head on, is that, y'all got way more questions than answers. And it is weird to see Bama discussed like this. Well, I'm curious if you have an answer to the same question. Has the Bama standard changed?
I think so. I mean, maybe my favorite tweet I've seen since I got here is a guy, Nick Roush at KSR, said Alabama has lost so much buzz at SEC Media Days that the Wi-Fi is actually working while Kalen DeBoer is talking, because these early sessions, everybody's on deadline, everybody's going, and our Wi-Fi, you know, the joke has been everyone's so busy, no one can work.
First world problems. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something else, you know, if you, they kind of keep doing Kalen DeBoer dirty by bringing in Nick Saban, I think, because.
So I want to talk to you about that, Will. It was weird this morning showing up, and I spent a little bit of time kind of in like that hallway where, like the coaches would kind of filter in and out. And it's where like a lot of the ESPN media is based. And that's kind of like their meeting room over there. And like right here in front of me is Kalen DeBoer sitting down to do an interview. And then right behind me is Saban, who just arrived here at SEC Media Days, and he's walking right behind. And Saban was there to comment on the desk as Kalen DeBoer is the first one to speak at SEC Media Days. He hovers. He was always going to hover. I don't know that I expected him to hover this much from a physical standpoint of physically being here. And, I do think it's interesting to see like how people react still to Kalen DeBoer versus Nick Saban.
I'm saying this out of respect, I promise, but I have never seen such a small dude cast such a large shadow over such a big dude, you know? And all, when you search Kalen DeBoer on Twitter, you just see pictures of Nick Saban looking on and watching him like Mufasa. So that's my note to the programming. I know everybody cares about my take here, but I would say just split them up and don't have Saban come in, because this is like several years into scheduled tweets about those two. But yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the job. And obviously Kalen's brand is so different. He's not a guy who's going to have that same kind of aura, the swagger, the straw hat, all that. But he's going to do things, his own way, and that's why we both had him ranked number 2 of our SEC coaches. I think he's still a great coach. I think we both have him number 2 in the SEC. So just because you do things differently, he was brought in to do things completely differently. And if they wanted a Saban assistant, I'm sure they could have called one.
They could have. They definitely could have. But man, a lot of new faces on offense. They're not going to name a starting quarterback just yet. I still think it's going to be Keelon Russell. I still think Keelon Russell ultimately wins this battle sometime early in August. I don't think you want to get into mid to late August having not named a starter, knowing how important it's going to be to get him reps with the ones. This is someone who last year was the third teamer. And like a lot of those guys in the preseason, even like a Lottie Brooks, his classmate, you don't know how many reps that those guys have had together. So to me, I think that's really important. It's ultimately probably going to define whether this team is able to get back to the college football playoff this year. But yeah, hearing Kalen DeBoer talk about like the run game and yeah, like we need to get a whole lot better. And why is it going to be better? Well, we need to get better on the offensive line and this and that and the other. There was nothing that I heard today that was ever going to make me all of a sudden be like, oh, Bama's going to run the damn ball. They're going to get back to it. I don't know if that I wanted more. There was nothing he was going to say today that was ever going to probably move the needle for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think among the highest positives is the reduction in penalties, right? And we covered, we have a episode coming up with a throwback Bama game, a little foreshadowing there.
Yep.
And I had kind of forgotten how much that was an issue during the end of the Saban tenure, that those penalties just carried over to DeBoer. They weren't a creation of him. So I think of the things that you would like kind of year 1 and year 2, maybe that's one of them. But to your point, the things that are just a staple, not just of the old regime, but of SEC football: great offensive line play, great run games, the physicality. Now they have some physicality on defense, don't get me wrong. But yeah, there's just more questions than answers to your point.
The lone returning starter on this Alabama offense was the guy that was here, Ryan Coleman-Williams.
Love him,
man. An interesting presence.
Yeah,
he is. And the very beginning of his time with the media, second question he's asked is about the drops.
Mm-hmm.
I would have it no other way. Here's the thing. You could say, oh, you know what? We're being too critical on a kid who's 19 years old. By the way, getting his degree in September. He is the new Austin Simmons, the old Austin Simmons, because Austin Simmons replaced him last year. But
really quick note on that. I asked him who his favorite player was growing up, and he said Devontae Smith.
Oh, my God.
That's not even we're old. It's like he's just 19.
He was
12.
Oh, my God. So 2010. No. When Devontae Smith has 2nd and 26 happen, he's 10 years old. Oh my
gosh, man. He's the oldest 19-year-old ever, even more so than like Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Because he was making that play in the Georgia game at like 17.
And I asked him, I said, do you feel like a 19-year-old? And he's like, it's a good question. It's like a lot of the things that he does, it does not feel like someone who is 19 years old. It feels like someone who has lived many lifetimes. This is someone that has already been on a college football video game cover.
Yeah.
And we're talking about him wondering, like, is he going to be that guy all year? He's talked about what he learned as a route runner and what he learned, just in terms of handling the ups and downs. And I think we're all still within our right to question whether or not he's going to handle the ebbs and flows. And I honestly think that in an ideal Bama world, this is going to sound crazy. In an ideal Bama world, you don't need him to be that guy week in, week out. It would be great if he could. But this is about showing up on that stage when those games matter the most. It's not about whether or not he has a 1,400-yard season and he's a finalist for the Blitnikoff Award, because I think there are enough other pieces in this receiver room, and Noah Rodgers maybe getting healthy is going to benefit them as well. Positive update that I know that that he was able to give earlier today to Ryan Fowler. But I am interested in this Ryan Coleman Williams arc. We talked about it when we did our SEC wide receiver draft. It was interesting just seeing him in person here. Very well dressed man who, as you heard from here on these airwaves on the next round, like this is a guy who knows that he has a lot to prove, I think. And I asked him too, like, do you think you lived up to your own expectations? Like, I always have high expectations for myself. What I really wanted to ask him was, how much did that Florida State game suck? Because you took it even worse than Bray Hubbard took it when Bray Hubbard got dogged for dogging it. I mean, that's essentially what happened. But like Ryan Williams had the drops in that game, and then also had the injury in that game too. Like got hurt on a drop, or like it was a pick, I think, on that play. And I just wonder where his mindset is at, because you're the elder statesman now, and it doesn't matter. Age does not matter with Ryan Coleman Williams.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. And I think, it's with all this uncertainty, I'm gonna change gears a little bit for you. If you had to bet a year of Culver's on one Alabama player making first team All-America, who would it be?
Ooh, Keelon Russell. I
You're
would.
trolling.
I would. I would. If he's riding Michael Penix, he's an All-American. If he is that dude, which by all accounts he is, then we're having those conversations, because I think that Ryan Coleman Williams, the flashes will be All-America level. I don't know that the production at season's end will be there. And honestly, like I've shared my love for Lottie Brooks. I think Lottie Brooks is a game-changing type player. I was thrilled to get him with the last pick in our receiver draft. But no, like if Keelon Russell's going to pop, he would be my guy that I would go. You can't go with anybody in that backfield right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily assume that anybody on that offensive line, all these new pieces, they're still figuring out what that offensive line is going to look like. A big source of contention. Lord knows many a Bama fan have spoken that their opinions about that. That group needs to get better, needs to have that consistency. But yeah, man, like I would go in that direction. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because the Alabama guys, my joke was always that the interior guys, the offensive linemen, the D linemen, the front seven were set it and forget it, how they would just end up first team All SEC or first team All American, even if they had like a pretty good year. And it feels like those names have kind of reduced through these last couple of years. And that's honestly, and I think Kane Womack is a guy I was wrong about. I was more negative. I think the defense has been awesome, better than I expected for sure. It's just that we expected this explosive and consistent offense, and what we got was an offense that was a little bit gimmicky. So yeah, I mean, if I had to bet money, I think it would be Ryan Coleman Williams. But you're not trolling. That kind of makes sense. I mean, because without you have to have one. There's no Blake Sims on this team.
Yeah.
Like that's not an option for this quarterback room.
Agreed. And that's part of the question with Bama right now is where are your superstars? Who's going to emerge outside of that secondary, outside of guys like Bray Hubbard, who I think is going to have a big year. And I think he got the wake up call that he needed early on last year. But yeah, Bama dominated conversation, at least on these airwaves. I know they did. You know who else dominated conversation? And John Sumrall. I wish every coach in the SEC were just John Sumrall. Best coach here by far. Yeah, close. His energy is just infectious. We knew that was going to be the case, but man, it was a pleasure hearing from John Sumrall, hearing someone who is as blunt as he is. And I really enjoyed it. And I got it in ways that I expected to get it. But yeah, John Sumrall being that guy for Florida, I think so many Florida fans are breathing a sigh of relief right now.
Yeah, and we talked about this a little bit off air, but I think that John Sumrall is the king that was promised. He is what they thought Billy Napier was, right? He's this no nonsense, hard nosed guy, and it feels like Billy was always selling something. I remember last year we kept joking about Florida measuring guys' muscle compounds and their percent of body fat and using all these advanced stats. What was the first thing that John Sumrall said was the biggest disappointment to him when he was Florida?
The strength of the offensive line.
Yep,
he thought it was underwhelming. Was how he described it. So Billy was wrong, maybe. Billy was wrong about a couple of things.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty obvious. Like, you're wrong about Jaden Baugh's workload, which I asked Jaden about that. Like, did you get enough work last year? He's like, if you ask the fans, they would tell you, no. Or if you ask my mom, it would tell you, no. But yeah, John Sumrall was hired for a rebuild to bring a new vibe to a program that so desperately needed a new vibe. And we won't do revisionist history with Billy Napier in the way that we did with Dan Mullen, because 4-8 is 4-8.
Right.
All right. Like that's the standard. But man, John Sumrall, like by the time he's at the end of his media availability and he's talking about, he's like, Ole Miss. Yeah. I mean, they kicked the what out of us twice. Like said it. I mean, said it in more blunt terms than what I just gave you credit for. But I think that hearing him speak as openly and as honestly as he has been everything you could have hoped for if you're a Florida fan.
It's refreshing, right? And he's been real about the warts on the Florida program, and I think that that's something. If you see a head coach that's a little bit over their head, it's like they're looking up at the brand. They're too like reverent of it, and I think that and everything is in service to the brand. Whereas in reality, I think pretty much every good head coach that we've seen has come in and said, "Hey, this is a rebuild. This is going to take a couple of years." The guys that have either overpromised, under-delivered, or the guys that have said things were just fine. I'm just here to right the ship, and a lot of that probably comes from boosters and the administration that want to hear that, right? But you end up with kind of a lame duck guy, and I think that John Sumrall gave a really accurate picture of the University of Florida.
Definitely. We're going to have Matt Flynn on in just a second here. I'm going to try and signal Matt. Matt's in a deep conversation with Peter Burns. I can tell right now. We'll get Matt on in just a minute, but yeah, we're excited to have someone that doesn't put me to sleep as the head coach of Florida, and that's John Sumrall, dude. Like, I got to ask. Yeah, so there was a tweet earlier. I saw this from Brett McMurphy when John Sumrall was like asked about the 9-game conference schedule in the SEC. He's like, I'm not here to whine and complain about being an SEC head coach. Great answer.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the answers we have heard this week about the conference schedule and how they need to get more benefit of the doubt with the playoff, no, just give me that. Just give me that. So I said, all right, what was the last thing you whined and complained about? Of course, he talks about fatherhood and his kids and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is me trying to get Matt Flynn's attention. Matt, you're good to go. We're live on air. You're good, man. Let's do it. We're just going to bring on a national championship winning quarterback.
Little 2-minute drill.
Little 2-minute drill. We're in the hurry up. It is. Oh, what was the year of the Packers game in which you did all the records and stuff like that? And I watched you.
It was a 2011 season, but it was January 1st, 2012.
January 1st, 2012, the day that your life changed forever.
It did. How about that? It was the last regular season game of my 4-year rookie contract. So decent timing.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, it's the best time thing I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I kind of say I say that year. So we were coming off a Super Bowl in 2010 season.
Yeah, and thanks. We get it, man. We get it.
Yeah, we were okay. So we were 13-0, right?
Yeah,
and
that's great.
Romeo, I think, was it Todd Haley got fired from Kansas? So Romeo Crennel takes over as interim coach in Kansas City. We go there and they beat us. And kind of like that interim coach bump that you see so often at every single level. But if it wasn't for Romeo Crennel, I never get to start that game because we would be going for an undefeated season, obviously.
Yeah. Cool.
So, yeah. Sorry.
Here's a question. Would you have your own company? Would you have My High if not for that game?
Well, probably. I probably would not if I didn't lose the job in Seattle to Russell Wilson.
Well,
probably wouldn't have that.
To get into that.
Yeah. But yeah, that was everything kind of catapulted me to go back to Green Bay. I went to Seattle and then Oakland. Got released from Oakland. And then I was in Buffalo for 3 weeks because EJ Manuel got hurt midseason. So I went there.
Front of the show.
I got to play dress up as a Bill for a couple of weeks. And then Monday I get released because EJ Manuel was getting activated again.
Yep.
I get released and I'm at a bar or in the bar of a restaurant with my wife. And we're sitting there and Green Bay is on playing Monday Night Football. And Aaron breaks his collarbone at the time. And I'm like, this could work out. And then pretty much the next day I was on a plane to Green Bay. Yeah.
Jeez.
So, and that's when I met one of the best dietitians I'd ever met in my life. One of the smartest guys as far as health in the body. And that's where I got the idea for My High. And that's
love it.
Kind of how it started.
Matt, I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Connor asked me, what's your favorite Matt Flynn moment? Immediately, I thought of one was the Auburn game. The end of that game.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, LSU is down 1 point. The clock is literally expiring. apex Mad Hatter moment. Instead of going for what would probably be a chip shot field goal, you guys go straight for the throat, go straight for the end zone to Demetrius Byrd.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind on that play? I've always wondered that.
Yeah, it's a first it was a situation that we practiced before. You practice so many different random situations that come up rarely in football games, but they do come up. So it's a play that we practiced many times. Now, he probably didn't want me to run the clock as far as it got, but you see he catches it. He had like 4 seconds left. I think the guy that's keeping the
Clock operator. We're going to put him on the hot seat for this one. Yeah.
He got a little excited. He probably jumped up in the air or something. But it was a situation where pretty much max protect, 7-man protection, and you're going to drop back. We're going to run all goes. If they happen to run man-to-man, take a shot. If they play zone, take a drop, throw it out of bounds, kick a field goal. So we get up to the line of scrimmage, and Will Muschamp was the defensive coordinator for Auburn, and who was helped recruit me out of high school, was at LSU when I first got there. And I get up to the line of scrimmage, and I was like, I'll be damned. They're playing man-to-man. Why? I guess. And so they end up, what we did was it was supposed to be just a regular I formation. That's,
of course,
for the listeners out there, I formation is what football teams used to run.
Specifically LSU with Jacob Hester.
Specifically LSU, that's right. And we had 2 fullbacks in the game. We had Sean Jordan and Jacob Hester in the game. And I just told them, kept breaking out the huddle. I was like, y'all go split backs, because I didn't want them having to sort out, if they brought linebacker pressure, sort out an I formation split. So just like, y'all split on either side of me. And then the linebackers, they pretty much brought kind of like an inside saw blitz, like Sam and Will, who line was going 4 down to the mic, and then the backs get the Sam and the Will. And there's a guy to the left of me. I could have given him a high five that he was coming. I knew he was going to be free. And that's always kind of a tricky situation for a quarterback under center, is knowing there's a backer in the B gap and knowing that the linemen are not sorting him out. So you got to put a lot of trust in that. And so I trusted Jacob Hester. And as soon as I said hut, I started dropping back, and Jacob smacks him in the mouth. And
there you go.
I take my drop back and throw a touchdown. So it was, one of those moments where there was a lot of nervous people in that crowd. And
were you one of them?
No, there was 11 guys in that stadium that were not nervous.
Love to hear that. Yeah.
I miss the Mad Hatter energy. You know, I miss it at media days. I miss it in a game in which, I'm sure it was maddening for those that bleed purple and gold. But for those of us on the outside looking in who could just see a ridiculous play on a fake field goal or something like that, or, we're going to go for it on 4th down for the 8th time, and we don't care if you know what we're doing. Like, I miss that energy in college football. And it feels like that type of coach has been on the outs. And Lane is so different than Les Miles that it's not even worth a comparison, the side by side. But what are the elements of Lane Kiffin and what he's brought to Baton Rouge that you have looked at and been like, oh, I actually like this? Because we've all heard the negatives so far.
Yeah. So when Lane got there, and he got to Baton Rouge, obviously in a tornado of drama, and everybody, freaking out all over the country and everything. We got there, and the dust settled a little bit in December, late December. When I say a little bit, I mean, it's all relative. But the first gradable thing that fans had for Lane was the portal. That was the first thing that he could look at, and we could be like, okay, you did bad, decent, good, great. And he knocked it out of the park. I mean, he's known as the portal king for a reason, and he does a really nice job with that. Of course, he had a lot of, help from LSU and the backers and the money, and they've figured out how to make all the money work somehow, some way. They did it. So he had all the resources he needed, and that's all he needed for the portal. Now, the next best thing that he did was bring Coach Ogeron back and hire him, because there's no better high school recruiter in college football than Coach O.
Did you get recruited by Coach O?
I did not. Not that I remember, at least. I don't.
You would remember that.
I would have. But especially when like those 3 letters LSU's on his chest, like there's a little bit more vibrato in that voice of his. And so what that told me was Lane isn't just like solely focused on this year. He's bringing in somebody to secure the high school recruiting, which is going to pay dividends for LSU for years to come. So he's thinking very nearsighted and in the distance as well.
So Matt, I was there for the Brian Kelly years, obviously, and it just felt like something was a little bit different. There were some great moments at Tiger Stadium, and he would always cite his home game record, his night game record, all of that. But what do you anticipate Game 1 against Clemson is going to be like in Tiger Stadium?
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. Like it's like when you say when I get asked all the time, like, what do you think about the LSU team this year? How are they going to do? And I'm like, well, depends on your definition of good. Like, what's your definition of a good season for? And everybody's different.
16-0.
16-0.
That's good.
I mean, I heard the SEC guys yesterday saying it's like national championship or bust. That's a little irresponsible.
Jordan Rodgers, future guest of the show in like roughly 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's a little irresponsible, but it's just whatever you set that bar at. Like playoffs is probably the minimum, right? As for people to be like, yep, good. That was good. That was a good first season. Let's build on that. I think anything less than that is a disappointment, but not catastrophic, of course. It's still first year. Now, what Indiana has been able to do is a little bit unfair for every single brand new coach at a brand new
Here we go again with the Indiana praise. Yeah,
I know. That's like it's the most unfair comp of all time. You go from like the worst D1 program in the history of college football to doing what they did. But the first game, I don't like. The reason why it's such a guess is because you'd have a new head coach and got so many new players.
Yeah.
You got a quarterback that played really good 2 years ago, but played through an injury this past year. So, like, would I be shocked if they played a tight game that came down to the last drive? No. Would I be shocked if we won by 3 scores? I don't think I would be. Like, it's just we don't know what this team's going to be, and but I know on defense we're going to be good. Will we be like the intimidating great force that you think about when you think of like old school like LSU? I don't know. I don't know if that's there, but I know they're going to be sound. I know they're going to play with a lot of energy. The best thing that Lane did from a recruiting standpoint was keep Blake Baker there. So, so that's going to be a big deal. But I mean, this team could be really, really good. We just don't know right now.
We are brought to you by Culver's. Welcome to Delicious. Matt, you probably have Culver's experience from your time in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, I dabbled. I dabbled at Culver's for
sure. Butterburger.
Yeah, I do remember better.
Underrated fish too, like really good fish options.
Okay.
The cheese curds are coming. They speak for themselves, obviously, but like the type of place you can go and have
fish.
I'm just saying, next time you go there, if you're like, hey, maybe it's Lent or something like that. Good, really, really good fish options.
Flaky whitefish.
Good flaky whitefish. Culver's has. Seriously,
crinkle
cut fries are the best. Would you ever get into coaching? And I mean, you can coach your kids and you do all that stuff as well. I know you're busy. Got a very nice home with our guy Jacob Hester, ESPN Baton Rouge. But would you ever go down that road? Because I know a lot of people hit that point where they're like, man, I could still break down the game. I could still tell you what a quarterback is seeing in a given instance. Would you ever kind of go down that road, or is that ship kind of sailed for you?
I think I have something to still give to football. I don't know what capacity. It'd have to be a very special, like at the college level, it'd have to be a very specialized role. College football, how do I say this nicely? Outside of the season and outside when you get off the field, college football stinks right now. Like it's a disaster, right? It's a disaster from nobody. There's no governing body really. Attorneys are making all the rules. There is no rules. The calendar is messed up. That's why this whole Lane situation happened the way it did. Like everything outside of the actual game itself is just drunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's it really is. And it's a shame. So I wouldn't want to step in that from a coaching standpoint right now. Constantly recruiting guys you're trying to retain. Like retainage is just as important as recruiting. So it's I don't know. I think I would definitely want to be all about ball if I did it. Now,
like an analyst role, I think would be really, really good for you and really interesting if you ever wanted to pursue it.
Yeah, it's something I've thought about a little bit, but man, my kids, like a 10, 8, and 6-year-old, just in a really cool spot in life, in their life to watch and go to all their games and dance recitals and all that stuff. But I still love it. One of my favorite things we do, and I can't wait for football season, is we break down film. And it's like, man, I get in that film room and
they all do that.
Do what?
They all can break down film.
No, I break down the film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying like they can all sit there and like break it down.
Oh, no. Like I'll break
okay.
down the film and give film breakdowns and stuff, and that's my absolute favorite, man.
Yeah.
I missed that part of it, and I try to enjoy games when I watch them without trying to break down defenses and
Yeah.
stuff like that, which is hard to do. But yeah, man, I don't know. We'll see.
Matt, speaking of breaking down film, I'm curious to see your perspective of Sam Levitt, a guy that played for Kenny Dillingham. When you watched him, what do you see from a quarterback perspective?
Yeah, I got to be like honest. I haven't broken down actual film. Of course, I've watched him play in when he was at Arizona State when they made the playoff run and everything. I didn't watch him much this past year, but I do know that he is a guy that is extremely athletic, can hurt you with his legs. But I think from the passing standpoint, probably like from a traditional drop back, probably needs to be a little bit more consistent.
Mhm.
But the way Lane runs his offense, like most offenses, successful passing offenses, attack the middle of the field. So you have a very high percentage of your throws going in between the hashes. So at the end of the year, last year when Trinidad was having all the success, I was like, let's pull up Ole Misses to show people what a successful offense looks like. And they did not attack the middle of the field as much as I thought they would. Lane likes to move the pocket. He doesn't like to keep just one stationary area where people can pin their ears back. So I think Sam's going to be a really cool fit. I mean, a guy named Trinidad Chambliss came in there and decided to be the second best quarterback in the country last year. And to me, before the season, he has to be known as the best quarterback in the country going into this season. So if he can do it, well, how about a guy that's already taken a big time college program to the playoffs? So we'll see. It's anybody's guess how well that will, but on paper, it's an awesome fit.
The Liz Frank injury
Mm-hmm.
for a quarterback. You probably played with guys that have dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever had a Liz Frank scare or something like that, but it doesn't seem like an easy thing to come back from. And it's the thing that's giving me pause with Sam Levitt, with LSU in year one. And I just kind of wonder about that. I've got all the Lynn and Clark.
You didn't see him dunk on the goalpost?
Look, I've dunked on the LSU practice goalpost before, sick brag. Like I do wonder about that and how that's going to impact a guy that, and I'm not saying like everybody's style is different, but it seems like his style, that could really be a thing that's just kind of always on the top of mind.
Yeah, what kind of like paint chips was Arizona State eating a couple of years ago?
With Scadaboo, and
you got Scadaboo doing a backflip. You got Sam Duncan after an injury. Like let's stay on the ground. Let's keep our feet on the ground as we recover. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that they would have pursued him and paid him so much money if they didn't think he'd be 100% healthy. So I got to trust that, right? I got to trust the process with the team doctors.
Yeah.
I have to trust that process because what else am I going to, am I going to sit here and say, no, the doctors were wrong. He's not going to be ready. I mean, I don't know. I've never had a Liz Franks. I did have a type of that when I was a senior in high school. I broke some bones on the top of my foot. But it wasn't as much like ligament damage and things that he dealt with. So, I'm gonna give you some coach speak right here and just say I'm gonna trust the process.
There we go.
Gotta trust the process.
Right.
Matt, going back down the historical road, y'all's offenses were really formidable whenever, Jimbo was in the building and stuff like that. I've always wondered what changed after you left LSU, because that next kind of stretch there was pretty lean.
Say Ryan Perrilloux, please.
Oh, I miss Ryan.
Just say Ryan Perrilloux. That's all you need to know.
I will tell you before you even said that, I'll tell you what I was absolutely going to say. And I said, and this is the reason, like, we didn't keep a big quarterback room at LSU ever. Like, we had some walk-ons, but my senior year, it was me, Perrilloux, and Jarrett Lee. Before that, the year before that was Jamarcus, me, and Perrilloux. Like, there was always just three. And Jarrett Lee was redshirted, so there's only two eligible quarterbacks in the room, or scholarship quarterbacks, I should say. So there was a timing. This is the way things are. This is the progression. Jamarcus, then it's going to be Matt, then it's going to be Perrilloux, then it'll be Jarrett Lee, and then we'll just keep stacking like that. Jarrett Lee was good.
Yeah,
he was really good. He should have been really good college quarterback.
The system probably didn't do him a whole lot of favors. Yeah.
When Perrilloux got kicked off the team, that screwed up the timing of everything. Jarrett Lee had to play early. He was not ready to play early, and you can ruin a quarterback is kind of a weird term, but like you can put a quarterback in and do some irreparable damage to a quarterback's mentals when that happens. So that screwed up the timing of everything, and they just played. They could not play catch up, and get that timing back. Now people kind of forget about the Mettenberger year. That was a really good year, but
I never
got him
do.
out of JUCO. Yeah. Got him out of JUCO, so that kind of repaired it a little bit. And then I think when the offense starts struggling, it's a snowball effect, and it's harder to recruit and blah blah blah. But then Danny Etling got there, completely underrated.
Yeah, him and
Sure.
Mettenberger both pretty underrated quarterback. And then
Absolutely.
obviously there was
I
an
mean,
explosion.
David was in the NFL for like 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
like just
Yeah.
kind of bouncing around.
Last one for you. You can tell us a story from Aaron Rodgers, from Les Miles, Will Muschamp, Jimbo Fisher. I've already asked you a Ryan Perrilloux story. Actually, you know what? Let's throw Jamarcus into that too.
Okay.
So that 5. Pick a
Okay.
story from any one of those guys.
Okay. Well, Will Muschamp sticks out to me because, like I said earlier, in that game, he was a guy that recruited me, sat in my living room. He's recruited me to LSU. So, whispered sweet nothings to my parents probably about how they're going to take care of their boy.
Wait a minute. Will Muschamp does not whisper.
Okay, he doesn't whisper.
Come on, let's be honest.
Oh, there was like this third down in the game, and it was probably, it had to have been second half. And third down in the game, I scramble out. I run for like 10, 12 yards. I go out of bounds before they hit me, and I run right next to I guess it was Tuberville at the time. So I run out, and about 20 yards away, Will Muschamp's there, and he starts sprinting towards me.
That's
like
terrible.
And like the clip of him getting mad, like next to Nick Saban,
Yeah.
he had that face. And there's like 3 or 4 Auburn guys chasing me out of bounds, and he's running at me, and he's saying, "Break his effing legs! Break his effing legs!" And I look at him, I'm like, "Oh, dude, thanks, Will. I'll see you later. I'll go tell my parents you said that. Tell my parents on you." Yeah.
One leg wouldn't have been enough.
Yeah, break his
legs.
Yeah, both of them.
Whoa.
Yeah, right in half. Just saw them off right there.
That's the most Will Muschamp story.
Yeah,
I've ever
for sure. So
heard. Matt, this has been great. Really appreciate it.
yeah,
Thank you again.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
We'll have you on again.
Great
Some
meeting you, man.
Absolutely.
For
Yeah,
sure, man.
thank you.
Thanks, man. Go get you a Butterburger, by the way.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm getting the
That's
fish.
Oh, get the fish. That's right. Get the fish, man. Matt Flynn, legend, national championship winning quarterback. Always great to have Matt on. We have still loaded show. We're going extra, by the way. I should have said that at the top. We're going extra time. We have stoppage time, we're going to call it. Stoppage time with Jordan Rodgers.
Very international of you.
So international. Just be like, hey, we're gonna extend the show. I love talking 2007 LSU. You love talking 2007 LSU. We can definitely do that all day with Matt. Okay. Let's revisit the conversation that we were having about John Sumrall and why I think for those on the outside, you look in and go, okay, that's a guy who gets it. I don't know that it's going to equal anything on the field year one that is very obvious that he's going to be the long-term guy, but everybody's in search of proof of concept. It's going to be hard for John Sumrall to not have proof of concept. You know what I mean? Like, what would it take for us to be selling John Sumrall stock after this season?
A low amount of Jaden Baugh carries. I mean, yeah, I think, like we talked about, he's selling the process. And I think that, we talked about upsets in one of the last shows. I could really see him pulling off an upset. I think that losing to a couple of inferior teams could do it. But I think I'm going to give you an 80% shot that he's going to go into next media days with positive momentum.
It's coming off of a team that was just lifeless for far too much of it. And a 4-win season just sets the bar so unbelievably low. And if he simply gives Jaden Baugh 25 carries a game into 8-man boxes, Florida fans will be like, hell yeah, let's go. I love that guy. He just gets it. And I don't even think that would be the wrong approach. Like you talk to Jaden Baugh, who, by the way, is up to squatting 600 pounds.
Wow.
As one does.
Okay.
And you see the excitement on his face about this usage. I think it's going to be a really interesting year one for this offense with Buster Faulkner. And hearing Jaden Baugh talk about it, you're reminded that they're also trying to do exactly what Florida fans begged Billy Napier to do. and that is utilize this very special player in your backfield in unique ways. I think that will be the case this year. I wonder what it would have looked like for Jaden Baugh if John Sumrall had not shown up to his grandma's house on Christmas. Good story in On 3 about this, with his wife, his dog, one of his kids, and shown up and been like, look, Jaden, we're going to build this year one offense around you. Don't go to Texas. Don't do that. Come back to Florida. Be a Gator. I know you're a Georgia kid, but come back to Florida. Could end up being one of the more significant conversations in the SEC, one of the more significant retentions in all of college football.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot to like when you look at that Georgia Tech offense with Buster Faulkner and all that. So that's kind of the proof of concept there. It's very easy to walk in a running back's living room and say, hey, look what we were able to do. We were like a diet service academy in the run game where we were not only running the ball effectively, but basically preserving our players outside of our quarterback, right?
Yeah,
and like
seriously.
the amount of running backs they were able to rotate, the amount of different kind of looks in different situations to get their guys into space. So yeah, I mean, I think that that's the thing that's interesting about, not to just keep gushing about Summerall, but the fail safes they've kind of put in place where it would take, Brad White having a career bad year. It would take Buster Faulkner having a career bad year.
Both quarterbacks failing. Too.
Both quarterbacks failing. That's the thing is like, oh, maybe Aaron Philo isn't this guy that set all these records in Georgia. Maybe, okay, they'll just go to the other guy. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the thing is that last year it was so much about how DJ Lagway was going to be this godlike figure that was going to save Florida. And it's almost like they've completely changed the narrative where even Jaden Baugh, if, he were to just change professions, let's not talk about injury. Let's just say he just decided I'm going to go, do something else. I think the offense would probably be fine.
Oh, by the way, John Sumrall is literally walking past us right just now, and his running back is ahead of him, Jaden Baugh, who, you take one look at that guy and you're like, he's built to handle that workload.
Mhm.
He might be the leader in the pack in the SEC to be the scrimmage touch leader. I would pick him over anybody else. Florida also could be one of those teams that maybe like Tennessee, starting multiple quarterbacks, multiple games this season.
Mm-hmm.
It would not surprise me. I don't think Tramel Jones Jr. is going away.
Yeah.
I just don't. And maybe some of that is rooted in my lack of faith that Aaron Philo is going to be the guy long term. Like history just kind of shows this. You need multiple guys, and they're going to prepare that way. I think that the way that they approach this early on, I don't know that they're going to tip their hand early in fall camp. Like Florida, I think really wants to have a late battle, knowing that they can kind of get deep into this and not necessarily have to worry about like, oh, hey, what does it look like, for this guy versus that guy. So I do think that that's going to be something that we talk about a lot. So we're going to be joined by Josh Pate in just a second. Josh, come on, we're live.
Hop on in, man. He was in the on deck circle. He was so polite.
I love
We're live on air, brother.
Yeah, we are live on air. Josh Pate, the unofficial commissioner of college football.
Let's throw that unofficial.
Because it's very unofficial. I gotta say, it's great to have you here, by the way, in person.
Thank you.
Take a sip of your coffee, please. Is that the Cubano coffee that they get here in Southern Florida?
No.
Cafecito?
This is more like filtered through a jockstrap hotel room coffee.
Okay.
Still good.
I'll never be able to get that visual out of my mind. Thank you for
Yeah. Look, that is Pate State coffee that we're talking about here. As the unofficial commissioner of college football. You're not official. Yeah, come on. You can't say you're official.
I'm just going to keep a straight face and not make eye contact with you.
That's
Continue
fine.
with your question.
That's fine. You've heard coaches talk about the 9-game conference schedule. You've heard them talk about, the SEC is going to break away from the NCAA. I don't care about the Protect College Sports Act, Jay Cutler meme. Don't care. I do think, though, that if someone like yourself were coming into the SEC, and if you could just impart some wisdom to these coaches, hey, here's what you should say to address this issue or that issue. Let's talk about the 9-game conference schedule. How would you address this if you were an SEC head coach? And do you think that everybody is on the same page with all this?
So Sumrall is like 20 feet to our left.
Yep.
How he addressed it is how I would address it.
Yep.
Hey, even if I really hate it, I'm not going to air it out publicly.
Yeah.
Also, what's the motivation there when we start complaining about it publicly? Do we really think that there's going to be a groundswell of support behind your complaints that reach the ear of Greg Sankey in a way that complaints already haven't reached his ear? Do we think that all of a sudden Joe in Alabaster, Alabama getting pissed off because Eli Drinkwitz is pissed off, like that's what's going to raise the antenna? I don't think this works that way. So I would do it the way Sumrall did it. Sumrall said, yeah, I'm not going to whine and complain about being a head coach in the SEC. Let's just roll it out there. Now, once he steps away from the mic, he may very well pick up his phone and complain in the group text just like everyone else, but at least least it's not a spectacle publicly.
That's true. Yeah, I think that a lot of your brand, Josh, has been kind of rediscovering the joy in college football in a time of politics and all that. What is the thing to be most excited or joyful about in modern college football?
That September arrives every year.
That's true.
That week 1 arrives every year. Here's the litmus test. Everyone wants to, not everyone, some people want to ask, has some of the joy been taken out, or has this new era of college football affected this or that? So the test is always pick a big game. LSU Ole Miss week 3.
Sure.
Let's say it's mid fourth quarter. It's tied at 24. It's 4th and 4 on Ole Miss's 36, and Lane's going for it. And crowds at full throat. Play clock 10, 9, 8. Levitt checks at line of scrimmage. Side note, how's he done so far at this point in that year? And I ask people to hit pause at that moment and tell me, are you thinking about a congressional bill right now?
I'm ready to run through a wall.
Are you
I got you. I see what you're saying.
About the portal? Are you thinking about how NIL landed which of these players? No, it feels the exact same.
Yeah.
So the moment it doesn't feel the same in that moment, that's the moment that something really, really detrimentally terrible has happened. We're not there. We're not there at all. We're not close to that. So anyone who wants to fearmonger, I suggest finding another way to fill your airtime in spring, or just take a break. Just come back when fall camp opens in August.
Sam Levitt hits pause in that moment, goes, I'm opting out. This isn't part of it. I was told my contract would not have any of these big time moments. I can't fulfill my obligation.
He reads an ad. He's like, but first, something from Call Sheet.
Yeah, exactly. What do the prediction markets say about this right now? That's the moment in which we would hate that. But you're right. And I try and remind people of that too, of like, look, man, Saturdays are sacred. We live for Fall Saturday. We still will live for Fall Saturday, whether or not this politician says this and this politician says that. Like, I won't care in the fall. I won't. What is the thing that you are most intrigued about right now? Is not just in the SEC, but college football as a whole. The thing that you're like, man, I would love to be able to fast forward to December and have an answer to this question.
The second tier of the Big Ten, what it looks like. If we're to assume, which I do, that some combination of Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana constitute tier 1 of the Big Ten. Past that, the tier 2 situation in the Big Ten for a while has been a little shaky. It's been a little iffy. So this year, you could loop Michigan and Penn State and USC and Nebraska and who else? Washington could be in that mix. Okay, is that the kind of group of teams that can realistically bite Indiana, bite Oregon, bite Ohio State, or does it all just fall nice and neatly into compartments? The way it feels like the Big Ten has for the last few years, because the SEC is a complete jungle right now. I mean, Texas goes to Florida and gets it handed to them last year. Florida's a 4-win team. And meanwhile, I'm looking at Texas being a borderline playoff team, and it just feels like that stuff doesn't happen in the Big Ten. Now, you could argue that's because the top of the Big Ten may be a little bit better than the SEC. I would also argue the second tier of the Big Ten has not been as good as the second tier of the SEC. So I'd love to know that. I'd also love to know if we have a repeat of what we had last year in terms of top 10 teams just cratering out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We had 3 of them last year. That LSU, Penn State, Clemson, and no one would have predicted that. And especially, like, if I were to have sat you down and we did bold predictions, and one of mine was James Franklin, Penn State, consensus top 5. Yeah, I think he's out of a job by Halloween.
Nobody would have believed.
No scandal, no anything like that. He's just for performance-based reasons going to be out of a job. How does that happen? Like, how does that happen? So the whole point, the whole concept of a top 10 team cratering out of nowhere is it's hard to see coming. So someone asked me this the other day. If there's a repeat of that, if even one preseason top 10 is going to fall off the face of the earth.
Who is it?
I don't know. I don't know, because I was trying to visualize it. And, okay, maybe if you have LSU top 10, which I don't know that they will be. Maybe they will be. They'll be borderline. You could sell me that the ingredients don't mesh properly. Maybe you could sell me on that. But top 5? You're talking about Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana up there, Georgia. Georgia's got like such a close, compacted ceiling floor situation that I could never see them fall into 7-5 or 6-6. So that would be my other question: is do we really have that just cannonball that comes out of nowhere on the coaching front? And then the third one, which is to get specific to a couple of teams, is each coast. I'm going to consider FSU on the coast for argument's sake.
That's fair.
Mike Norvell at FSU, Lane Kiffin at USC, I think are both in varying degrees of must-win.
Lincoln Riley at USC.
Who did I say?
Lane Kiffin no longer at USC. A certain tarmac.
Vibes though.
Something happened.
We were talking about fast forwarding to December. You rewound to 2013.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Great year.
Yeah.
Right above it's on the radio. Let's do it.
Kick
Yep.
six. So
Yep.
Anyway, notably, Lincoln Riley has now taken the USC job. So I think it's totally fair that Mike Norvell is considered being on the hottest of hot seats.
Yep.
Totally fair. I think it's totally fair if USC fans look at Lane dude, I did it again.
You did it again.
Could that be
That's
a sign?
Freudian slip.
Could that be the
Interesting.
shocker?
Weren't you doing that last year though? You were kind of speculating about like Lane to USC. Wasn't the thing that you brought up on Bustin' with the Boys?
I was speculating that Lincoln may be out.
Well, the championship window hadn't opened yet.
Mhm.
To his defense,
It takes half a decade.
it in this era especially.
Well, at a
really does.
smaller upstart program like USC.
Yeah, I mean they weren't paying him a lot of money. He didn't have that many bathrooms in his house or anything. So yeah, give him some time.
What I want to know simply is, I think it's fair for them to say, if you don't make the playoff, you're out. I think it's fair to look at Lincoln and say that this far into your tenure. I want to know. So if it goes sideways early for either of them, do those situations follow the recent trend of we're not waiting until the end of the year? We're just gonna boom, guillotine down in the middle of October or late September or whatever. And basically, what I'm asking is, do we have like a smaller, condensed version this year of what we had last year, which is this hot seat coaching carousel hurricane happening in the middle of the season, which was a first. I've never experienced it quite like that.
So, a lot has been made of, Super League, Big Ten, whatever. But, who are some of these teams in kind of the other conferences that have caught your eye? Maybe like, a Clemson, a BYU that can really, surprise us this year and get a playoff spot and go on a run.
Well, you mentioned one, Brigham Young.
Amen.
I think it's incredible that people keep looking at Notre Dame saying they've got a one-game season when they have to go to Provo to play. So that's a team. It's got a bunch of veteran leadership. It's got a bunch of 25-year-old dudes whose only loss last year was to the only playoff team from their league. So they just run all that back. And I look at that team, and if you could just get like fractions of degrees better here and there, they could do something. I also am really fascinated about Louisville, who plays Ole Miss in week 1 in Nashville.
That game's going to be fast.
On a Sunday night.
Yep.
And I'm thinking about that 2 ways. I mean, you could obviously sell from the Ole Miss's perspective that if you lose that game, you got one loss already with LSU coming to town 2 weeks later. That writes itself. But if Louisville were to win that game, they don't play Miami in the regular season. So they've already got a very workable path. Everyone's just assuming, all right, Louisville, they'll lose a few games. That'll be one of them. Well, if all of a sudden that giant domino falls their way, it's a long season, still some losable games, but you already got past one of your highest hurdles. And that was a dent against the SEC's out-of-conference resume early on. How does that play both in the ACC's favor and to the SEC's detriment 4 months later when it's playoff selection time? So those are a lot of big ones there. But I think Louisville, man, if you believe in Jeff Brom and you believe what he can do with quarterbacks, which I do, and this takes a little bit more of a stretch, but if you believe Lincoln Kienholz really pushed Julian Sand to the wire, which reliable sources have said on the record at Ohio State, again, I said it's a stretch, then you could tell me that maybe some things could happen there this year, because Jeff Brom's about the best in the country at getting the absolute most out of his roster. Now, the downside is they just lose some inexplicable game every year that keeps them from hitting the finish line the right way.
Always. Miami can't possibly come up short of an ACC championship this year, right?
Unless they had just critical amounts of injuries. Unless you can predict that, I don't know how they don't at least make the game. And they win the game if they're there. So, yeah, I'll say that again. I'll endorse that again. As much as I hate going along with you, I will endorse that thought again. As you know, last year, here's what's crazy. So they end up making the title game last year. It ended up working out for them. The ACC schedule makers were so drunk when they made that schedule last year.
They were hammered.
They sent Miami, one of your premier teams, on the road to Blacksburg, second to last week of the year, on the road to Pitt last week of the year. Had they made the conference title game, that's a third straight week on the road.
Yep.
Even though it's neutral site. And that would have been, I think, their 9th straight game. So it would have been Miami's 9th straight game, third straight week on the road to culminate your conference slate.
To be fair, you also can't assume if you are making the conference schedule that Miami is going to be set up to make the
Competing
ACC
at the end of the year, yeah.
So
Here's all I'm saying. I would take a little better care constructing Miami's schedule
Mhm.
than I would Wake Forest schedule. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
we like Jake Dickert though.
SMU's got this situation this year in the ACC. SMU has back-to-back road games to finish the year. One of them's a West Coast game. And then theoretically, if they were to make it to Charlotte, you're flying coast to coast to coast to coast, and it's your third straight road game to end the season. Back-to-back road games to end the year, I don't think should ever happen for anybody.
That's weird.
Yeah. I mean, and we've now discussed 5 or 6 ACC teams and nothing on Clemson. Do you think the ship has kind of sailed there?
Oh boy. I want to say no so quickly. Got to be careful though. All right, I'm writing in lowercase. No, it's very lowercase, small font.
Okay.
It's hard to see.
Well, we both bought into Cade last year and he let us down.
Which is his fault, not ours.
Exactly. We just got to learn from it.
He screwed up,
Mhm.
not us.
So I hope you know that by writing lowercase no, you are writing uppercase yes to Chad Morris. Thoughts?
I don't have any.
Yeah.
Neither
Not-
did he.
That I want to vocalize. I just love when I went over there in the spring. I love how leaned in and resolute Dabo is on that move. Because to Dabo, it's as simple as, look, we underachieved in 2010. I hired Chad. Bing, bang, boom. It's that easy.
Buddy,
It's
buddy.
ABCs. It's what do you not see? What do you not get?
It's the year of our Lord 2026. And if you had just let Chad Morris just be Chad Morris on a ranch somewhere, the college football gods would not have stepped in and said, let's get this Chad Morris guy a job. And that's the problem.
Well, do you feel the same way about Lincoln, not Lane, bringing Gary Patterson in as defensive coordinator?
A little bit. I feel a little bit like that.
I like Gary Patterson. That's the
Yeah, that's true.
I want to root for him.
Yeah. I mean, Gary Patterson is a defensive mind. A little bit different than Chad Morris, the offensive mind. Come on, that's fair. What?
I'm not disagreeing.
Clemson being back for you
Back what?
is getting to an ACC championship. Is Dabo doing the Toby Keith, how do you like me now? If he is getting to an ACC championship, because I don't think I can take any more of Dabo flexing about his resume and telling us about things that happened 8-9 years ago. I'm so over it at this point that like nobody has kicked the can more than Dabo Swinney. His foot has a massive gush in it because of how many times he has just kicked the can in the 2020s. I'm tired of hearing it. I am.
I would suggest hitting mute because you're going to hear it at least 100 more times. And especially if can I paint you a scenario?
Please.
It's week 1. LSU doesn't quite have its act together. Dabo has packaged up every bit of us against the world, little Clemson, nobody believes in us, you're a bunch of nobodies he possibly can. And they're +3 turnovers at LSU and they win 23-21. That press conference is a Super Bowl moment. That is dude, I still got 10 games to go, 11 games to go. I don't care. Y'all are about to hear it.
Week 1 has made me so sad as an LSU supporter, and that really would just put the cherry on top. But no, talking a little bit more national stuff. You talked about the Big 12 last year with BYU, and the one hump they couldn't get over was Texas Tech. And sometimes you can just wait a team out. It feels like, outside of BYU, do you think Texas Tech has taken a big enough step back to where they're not in the conversation? Who else is in the conversation for the Big 12 title?
Yeah, no, they haven't taken a big enough step back. They're still the class of the conference.
Okay.
I just think probably they're a little more reachable.
Mhm.
Maybe it's a little more obtainable to compete for the conference title. Now, I thought Brigham Young was going to be in that mix anyway.
I like you
So-
call them by their proper name.
I like that too.
No, as a reason. It's because I am deep down. I'm from Harris County, Georgia. And so I can't round off the Y the way it's supposed to sound. So it's just BYU.
That's all right.
I think you're within range.
I've
there.
worked on it, but I still got work to do. Just like the Z in Clemson. I've still got work to do.
It's not Clemson.
I know, but I can't.
They'll
I
tell
can't
you
get there.
it's a P in there.
Mentally, I'm there. Verbally, I'm
Clemson.
Clemson.
I'm not. Houston,
Okay.
maybe,
Connor Wigman.
just maybe. Have no idea what Oklahoma State's going to be. Nobody knows. Kansas State, year 19 under Avery Johnson, with at least one more to go. It sounds like we'll see. But no, if there's a dark horse, it would be Houston for me.
Mhm.
If there's just a prime contender, I think it's Brigham Young. The one I really wonder about just in general is Arizona State. Like
Yeah.
the status now and moving forward, because it felt like they were here to stay. And then Kenny kept reminding you, no, we're kind of secretly broke. secretly we're trailing a little far behind in the NIL game.
Mhm.
That's why in that year they made the run a couple of years ago. He took every post-game press conference as an opportunity to beg for money.
Yep.
He knew what he was doing.
Last one for you. You're filling out the ballot. Who wins the SEC? Who's playing in the SEC championship?
Texas and Georgia. Texas wins.
Okay.
Safest pick possible.
Texas beating Georgia is the safest pick possible.
Yeah. Look,
It has to happen eventually, right?
I just say if I continue to close my eyes and throw darts at a board, look, I got a bullseye. Maybe this is Texas's bullseye year.
You're a big believer, though. Like, just because something hasn't happened doesn't mean that it'll never happen. You say it all
Can't
the time.
doesn't equal haven't, or
Yeah.
haven't doesn't equal can't.
That's true. That's true.
Sark believes it too. He better believe it.
He better believe it, or else look, if they lose to Georgia a fourth time, and that's the thing I can't quite get around is like, I think Sark has a Kirby problem. I really do.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
Like Kirby had a Saban problem.
Yeah.
Until he didn't. God bless Jamison Williams, whatever needed to happen. Then all of a sudden he didn't. And then he was off to the races. I think, hey, Ryan Day had a Michigan problem and still had one and won a national title despite it. And then finally rectified that last year. Just everyone's got a problem and some people get past it and some people don't. And that's the way of the world.
Josh Pate, official commissioner
Thank you.
of college football,
Thank you.
according to you.
It's easier to say.
According
It's less words.
Josh, thanks, man.
Thank
We'll do
you.
it again soon.
Absolutely.
Josh, great to see you. Great seeing you again. Eat
Thank
plenty
you.
of eggs for us.
Appreciate it.
All right. We're going to get out of here in just a minute. Josh, you're good to put the headset
Oh,
down.
bye.
You're good. You're good.
See ya.
Here, man, we're live. We're live. We got Jordan Rodgers coming on in just a minute here. I'm going to signal over to Jordan right there. I'm going to give him the point. And, he gave me, he shook me off.
Wow.
I threw down the fastball. He shook me off. He said, no, I'm getting the curve. Unbelievable. Wow. Incredible. My second favorite Vanderbilt quarterback, Jordan Rodgers, set to join the set. Man, he didn't hear me say that. I don't think the second favorite Vandy quarterback. No.
That means he didn't get passed by Pavia, though.
Okay.
So
Let's start right there.
Okay.
Let's start right there. This time last year, I was trying to talk you into Diego Pavia.
Yeah.
You then had to watch Diego Pavia be the Heisman runner-up.
Wait, so you're saying I was wrong? Man.
No.
Yeah, I'm wrong every once in a while.
No. How much buyer's remorse did you have about that as a guy that you could have been gassing up the entire
Totally.
season?
Yeah, a lot of remorse because I think he played his ass off. Like, not just, why? Here's why. Because if you look at the 2024 Vandy team, they were a triple option team.
Yeah.
There was a team that milked the clock. They ran like 40-something plays a game. So as I'm projecting this, I'm like, yeah, I mean, like maybe he'll be good in what they do because he is. That wasn't who they were or what they did schematically in 2025. They were a team that pushed the football vertically downfield. It was much less of the triple option stuff. That was still a nuance and an element of what they do. But I was just surprised at some of the pieces around him. Trey Richardson, a guy that, if you'd have told me before the season that he's a guy that's going to run by everybody in the league, no matter who he's facing out against, I'd be like, well, I don't know. He's a little undersized. Like, so they just had guys and the system came together in a way that it didn't look like in 2024. So, yeah, I fucking missed that one. It's all right, Like I'm happy for Vandy. I don't hate it. I don't hate it for the Doors.
So piggybacking off of that, how do you transfer from, this almost like Service Academy offense with this awesome fire leader quarterback to now you got Jared Curtis. Not only is he a 5-star, but he's a young 5-star. Like, how do you make that transition?
Movie star, too.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. In Bargatze's movie, right?
With Bargatze, but you're close
Well,
enough. That's fine.
He's
That's
going to
fine.
be pissed at that, too. I think Tim Beck has shown a great ability to adapt the offense based around what they do. And they're going to look different for sure. It should be the Cedric Alexander show. I mean, the guy needs to get 20 plus touches a game, 16 or 17 just handed to him, and he needs to get 6 or 7 through the air in one way or another. So it's going to look different. But I think when you have a young quarterback, it's similar to, maybe when I was at Vandy, we had Zach Stacy. I would turn around and give the ball to him as much as possible. And we had a guy in Jordan Matthews who was pretty dang good and a lot of question marks around. So it was like, okay, how many times can we hand off to Zach Stacy, and how many times can I throw it to Jordan Matthews? And I probably tried to throw it to him 13 times a game and maybe 3 or 4 to anybody else. That was who we were. And you feel like that maybe is how you simplify things but lean into a young quarterback that's super talented, at least early, to let him get his feet wet and help him grow into the type of player he's going to be because he'll be special. But it's tough to do that early in this league.
We always saw quarterback rankings with you. You love getting the people going.
Oh,
You're like I don't want to. This is going to sound so disrespectful.
Please.
I don't want to say that you've almost got Orlovsky syndrome.
Ooh.
I don't want to
I
say
did
that.
spend a lot of time around Dan, for a year in Tampa, so maybe it rubbed off a little more than I thought.
I don't want to say that you have that when it comes to quarterback rankings,
Yeah.
because you will forget more than I'll ever know. But you did like to stir the pot.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a pot. Let me.
No, you do.
I do.
You had Mateer. Didn't you have Mateer at 2?
Oh yeah. Well, did I have it 2 or 3 last year? I might have had him at 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
For a month, though, you look great.
Hey, I have him at 3 this year.
Yeah, well, you have him 3 this year.
Yeah. So that's one that maybe would surprise people based on what we saw. So I have Trinidad, Arch, Mateer, Levitt, Gunner.
Oh, so
Levitt may also stir the pot a little bit there at 4. I mean, I think you can justify it. I think you can also go, wait, but Gunner,
why do you hate Gunner Stockton?
I don't exactly. That's what we're going to get, right? So where do you want to start with those?
I mean, I think that Gunner was a guy that you could trust when the bullets are flying.
Yeah.
He and Trinidad answered that question more than any quarterback in this conference. It's why they finished top 10 in the Heisman voting. And I do think that you see the flaws with him. They need to be able to stretch the field.
Yeah.
They need to be a more explosive offense. Very well documented. I think that the personnel last year maybe didn't necessarily set up for that. I still would trust Gunner in a lot of situations. In situations that I'm not sure I could trust those other guys with just yet. So
I agree.
Why are you a little bit more reserved on him coming back?
Yeah, it's the balance, and this is where we always get F doing these quarterback rankings, is because it's part projection, it's part skill set that sometimes is just potential, and it's part production and what they've actually done. Gunner, what he's actually done, 18 touchdowns and 2 interceptions against ranked opponents last year. I mean, in the biggest moments, he was his best. I mean, if you have that body work, you go, well, he should be number 1 or number 2 behind Trinidad or whatever you want to say. Limitations around his physical skill set as far as pushing the ball vertically, I think, is one of those things that makes you just hesitate. And then you add on top of that the question marks at receiver. I'm not saying they're not going to be talented, and Ellis Williams and Lawson Lucky are one of the best tight end rooms. So I'm specifically speaking about the receivers with London Humphreys back and Taylor and
Isaiah Canyon.
Isaiah Canyon will be exactly who they need as an X, and Jacoby White-Helton's a guy that maybe will be a little bit more of a Zachariah Branch guy that they get the ball in space. I just think there's question marks there. So I put him at 5 because I'm like, man, they want to be more explosive. Certain pieces maybe tell you they could be, but maybe that'd be my reservation there. And I'd put Mateer and Levitt ahead of them, more so based on overall skill set, potential, and fit to what they're going to do this year. And Levitt is a big question mark because you flip on 2024 and early last year, and you like some of it, but also you don't like a lot of it. Like I kept watching film going, he's late all the time. His feet don't marry up to the route and the timing, and that causes him to hitch a couple times and be inaccurate on throws. And then I keep watching, and I go, man, is all Arizona State does is 4 verts and guys running deep. And I'm like,
and then come back to the ball and
give the guy a layup every now and then. So that's where I go. He wasn't good pushing the ball downfield last year. I think it was like 28% on throws at 20-plus yards downfield, and Trinidad in this system was one of the best. He was top 15 in the country. You have to be able to hit those throws to be successful. And I go, he's going to benefit greatly from a controlled, quick passing game that gives him layups because he can change arm angle. He can be sudden and accurate on those throws when he wants to be or when he's allowed to be. And then I think that'll help improve the shots because he's physically talented. I think the system will help match and improve the production in that area that was maybe my question mark there.
Jordan, you may have just given me this answer in the fact that I should be maybe panicking about my own team's quarterback, Sam Levitt. But let me ask you this question. As a former quarterback, you're going to see the position differently than guys at home, right? What are the things that if you were going to teach someone how to watch film, they should be looking for just across the board to determine this quarterback is a function of the offense, this quarterback is a guy that could maybe win at the next level based on, what you see at the position?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think my eyes go – I watch plays over and over again because it's not about the result. It's about how they got there. And sometimes the result can be a good process, right? The ball actually went where it was supposed to go. So he's seen a coverage rotation, or he saw zone, or he saw attacked man, the route in the concept that he should have. And you go, okay, check that box. And sometimes shit just happens. And I mean, but that's part of football too. And sometimes you make a play when it's not there, or the read's not right. But man, that is an elite throw, and you have that, check that box. Like, he can make a tight window throw. Now we'll work on the decision making. Let's see if it pans out. And then I love watching feet when it comes to why someone.
Go.
I know.
Jordan Rodgers, feet guy. Okay.
Yeah, I probably have a feet finder out there somewhere.
Graphic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because when I see an inaccurate throw or an accurate throw, more so inaccurate, I wonder why.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm obsessed with that because I think it's probably a product of, I was taught everything wrong about mechanics growing up because the rotational aspect of being a quarterback was not a thing yet. They were trying to make quarterbacks be like pitchers.
Yeah.
You know, they were all big and tall in that era. There wasn't an RPO. You weren't scrambling around as much. And I'm not dating myself here, but I was taught throw over the top, finish in your opposite pocket. I mean, those are two things that are maybe the worst and suck the most velocity and accuracy out of a thrower than anything. So I love watching feet. I love watching how that affects upper body mechanics. And that's part of my big study with Arch and my positives and negatives to his game. So that's kind of where my eyes go when I watch a quarterback, and it's all subjective, right? I mean, I think I understand why they make decisions and if they're right in making those decisions, why they went there, but I'm not in those rooms. You know, I'm not the coach that's telling them why they should have gone here. So you take it with a grain of salt. But I'm obsessed with that aspect of the game.
I always wondered how you got to 1 million Instagram followers, and now Jordan Rodgers feet guy.
It makes sense.
You know?
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you about my burner Instagram accounts.
Goodness.
Kidding.
It's all just Mack quarterbacks on there. You're just watching film all day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Watching this Mack incompletions. Ohio against Bowling Green Tuesday night. Give me a quarterback in the SEC that you're buying low on. You can't take like a Mateer, like a Trinidad or somebody like that, but a guy that you're like, he's going to finish better than where we're projecting him right now.
Who are we?
I think there's a clear answer if you ask people in this room.
Who would you say then?
Mario Taylor's the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Taylor would be the guy. I would also put Keelon Russell in that conversation just because I think his stock is low right now, as it's probably going to be. But there are some of those guys in the SEC that I look at and I'm like, man, we're so wrong every year when it comes to the SEC quarterback conversation in the preseason.
Yeah.
And these guys haven't necessarily, blame it on NIL if you want, but these guys haven't lived up to it. So maybe we should be talking more about these other guys, these inexperienced guys who, like, by the end of October, we're going to be like, oh my God, like they've got an all SEC season wrapped up.
Yeah. One thing I love about Kamario, in talking with Lebby, we had him early. I don't remember if it was week 2 or week 3. It's Georgia game, I think it was. That was early.
Oh no, that was late. That was kind of
it late
season. Yeah.
Okay, I had him multiple times. I had him once early and then that time. Now, he played more that game, didn't he?
I think he did.
I think he did. Yeah. So early in the season, we had them a couple times, whether it was nation or a game. And I remember talking to him. He's like, "Hey, this dude's going to be really good." He's like, "But I'm being very intentional and careful with his development." He's like, I cannot give him too much too soon because I don't want to burn him. He's so talented. So he was very careful in the package of plays that he allowed him to execute early in the season, in his reps in practice, and how much he put him in, and why he put him in. And I think that built a guy between the ears that I think is ready, more ready than he should be at this point with his limited experience and the time that he ended up playing at the end of the year. But the dude is. Cam Newton comparison is easy to throw around.
There we go.
No, I know. I hate it, but just a big body. And I say that because he's a physical downhill runner. Like, he's not going to as much run around you, shake you. He can, but he's scary when he gets going downhill. Like, incredibly strong arm, gifted. And I think Lebby did a really good job of being careful with how he developed him.
We're not going to bleep the F-bomb. We're going to bleep the Cam Newton.
There you go.
You know, the other one I'm buying low, and it's weird to say low because, like, people love Lenoris just because of his physical gifts.
He is a buy low. I think that's fair.
I think I've been talking to Beamer even before he promoted Mike Shula. He was really worried about that hire. Not Mike, just he was stressing about who would I get? And I think he looks back now and goes, I took the easy option because he, and you can't fault him because what he was trying to do is keep the system the same around a really talented guy, not change up too much. But that was a bad hire. It wasn't the right hire. Kendall Briles, if you go back and look at KJ Jefferson, who is very similar skill set wise, big guy. Lenoris is more talented. He's faster, but similar. Big guy that can run, that can throw. His numbers with Kendall in 2 years at Arkansas were stupid. I looked him up, and I'm only going to rattle them off because numbers are numbers, but because they're that dumb. 5,600 yards passing, 45 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, 1,200 yards rushing, and 14 touchdowns. Like 45 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. If you would have told me that was his number, I go, no way. I mean, he had to throw more interceptions than that. Like he was efficient. They were explosive. Yeah. So I look at. I'm concerned about some of the young receivers still developing around him. But I look at the system and I go, they're going to go fast. They're going to distribute the ball. They're going to get it out of his hands quickly, which is a problem last year because they couldn't block. And it will be a problem early until that group comes together with all the transfers, some of the transfers they have. But I feel like, dude, we're going to see the pieces of the Lenoris we had hoped to see that we just weren't able to the last couple of years because they couldn't run and they couldn't block. And he was running around trying to save his life.
So let's say you're coming out today. You're an 18-year-old kid. You're properly rated this time. Let's say high 4-star, right?
Nice.
Who's going on the recruiting graphic? Top 3 teams that you would consider committing to.
Oh, this is good. Top 3 teams would probably be.
If you say James Franklin, I'm going to throw up.
Oh, I was just thinking SEC teams. We're going
overall.
Oh,
yeah.
Come on. Ohio State. I'd love to go to Ohio State.
There's an obvious one. There's an obvious one.
Vanderbilt?
I mean, yeah, you got there eventually. You get to play with Tim Beck.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
With Tim Beck.
Actually, yes. Yes. I would look at that 100%. I would look at that and I would go, I can see how that skill set, because what I did in junior college, especially when I was making that decision or even in high school, like I ran around a little bit like Diego. I was undersized until I hit a little bit of a growth spurt. So I'd probably see a lot of that offense working well with me.
If it's good enough for Jared Curtis, it's good enough for.
And then I'd go, and then I'd go LSU just because I'd want to play for Lane in that offense because I am so jealous of the RPOs. I missed the RPOs by about 2 years. Like we were still in the pro style system world where we had now screens and key screens. So the backside of runs would be a now was just a single receiver. We call it a smoke route. Step and you throw it to him if he's got and try to make a guy miss. Or a key screen was a 2 receiver where the inside guy would arc and block the outside guy and a now or a smoke on the outside. And it was just, hey, if the box is heavy, just flip it out there. But God, they would be able to be in the shotgun and like read a guy and just have the type of ability to attack with layup throws like that. I was jealous. So I'd watch Lane's offense as a high school kid, and I go, I want to play in that.
So you think all that outside noise is kind of lost on the people actually within football that are watching the tape, they're looking at the offense. They're like, the Lane Kiffin offense still works. I'm not worried about that.
Some people on Twitter, because I was going to war on Monday because they came out and said LSU needs to get to a national championship or it's a failure.
You might have just gotten dogged by a previous guest, Matt.
Totally. That's fine. Yeah. I don't mind that, but I will back it up. I'll go to war with why, I believe it. That's what I don't care if we disagree, but you better believe I believe what I'm saying. I'm not just saying it, but where was I going with this? Oh, I had somebody reach out and go, oh, this Lane Kiffin, everyone's figured out this offense and like defense coordinators aren't scared. I'm like, did you watch Ole Miss last year? Did Georgia really figure it out in that playoff game? Like, it seems like it's still working pretty good. Like, so that was just funny. It's SEC media days. People are just
last one
angry if I say something they don't like.
I know. I just like getting angry at you even when you say something I do like.
Love that.
I think that's more fun. I was gonna ask you some dad stuff.
Oh yeah.
Most humbling moment you have had as a father so far?
Boy, I think it's just, our baby girl Romy was about 3.5 weeks early, and the first month was rough. She wasn't eating well because she was a little early, and we weren't sleeping at all. We were both sleeping on the couch, so we close to the bassinet. And like, I remember one time, middle of the night, like we just couldn't get her to stop crying, and we just look at each other, and we're both haven't slept much in the last couple of days, and we're like, it's one of those bonding moments where you look at your wife and you go, we're in this together. Yeah. And like, I'm glad I have you because like we could be like yelling at each other and pissing at each other. And there's part of that we are sometimes, but like we're in it and we got something more important than either of us or our sleep or anything. So that was a pretty crazy moment. People get really mad at me when I say this, but since we had a great little sleep trainer that we had help us with structure.
I've already heard about this. And I want you to tell it again for the people because this is incredible.
What part?
The Romanian.
Oh yeah. So Jaji, she is a guru. When I say like a wizard, I mean she's an absolute wizard. Also loves ripping cigs on the patio every now and then.
Exactly what she looks like, and I've never seen a picture.
But so ever since Romy's been a month old, and I'm gonna say this, and you guys are gonna be really mad. She has never woken us up in the middle of the night. Not once. I mean, not even to be like, oh, should we go in? She's crying a little bit. Like, oh, maybe we'll let it. No, not at all. She sleeps like a rock, 11, 12 hours. The issue, though, she doesn't want to eat. She doesn't care. She's like, oh, I'll take 2 ounces in my bottle, and then I'm good. Let's party. Let's play. And I'm like, no, you need to eat, girl. Like, you got to get however many ounces they tell you to get. We're like, we're not even close yet. So we're stressing about that. At least we're sleeping, which is a blessing. But it's been fun, man. I always, because I came from a family of 3 boys, always thought, man, I can't wait to have a boy. Man, having a daughter is special.
The best.
It is so cool. I could have 3 more. Obviously, I want a son at some point, hopefully. But if I didn't, man, daughters are awesome.
Girls flag football.
Totally. Oh yeah, let's go.
Saying,
let's go. I tell JoJo that all the time.
Same. I don't.
I'm like, no. She's gonna be throwing the ball. We're gonna get out there. We're gonna rip it around. Oh yeah.
I see the videos.
Yeah.
We're building the 07 Patriots of girls flag football here.
Let's go.
In front of us.
Yes.
Okay.
Love it.
Go.
Love it. Jordan, you are the absolute best.
Awesome guy.
Thank you so much.
Great meeting you again, man.
For sure.
Again soon. All right, that's a wrap. That is day 3 of the OG kickoff. Boom. Extra time, stoppage time for Jordan Rodgers. He's worth it. Absolutely. Guys, this has been really, really fun. We have one more day of live coverage from SEC Media Days, day 4. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be post-karaoke. I'm leaning Toby Keith for karaoke, by the way.
Okay.
I'm leaning Toby Keith, maybe some John Party, TBD. Follow John Neighbors on Twitter for all the videos that are going to come out from that. It's been fun. Will, any final thoughts?
That's a promo right there. No, man. I really do love the structure this year. It felt like it was kind of a bang at the last several years. It starts off with a bang with LSU, whatever, and then it kind of fades off. Tomorrow's going to be a huge day. Today might be the biggest day. We got Ole Miss arriving as we speak right now. So, yeah.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon.